Low visibility in Helldivers 2 is not the problem, at least not by itself. Fog, storms, spores, and bad visibility can make a mission feel more tense, more atmospheric, and sometimes even more interesting. But I think the game is starting to overdo it. When low visibility shows up too often, too strongly, and in too many situations, it stops feeling immersive and starts feeling exhausting. And at that point, the game does not become harder in an interesting way, it just becomes harder to play. First of all, I know the game has other problems too. I just wanted to bring up this topic because it is an issue that has been around for a long time now. The real problem is not fog by itself, and it is not spores by themselves either. The real problem is the amount of low visibility the game keeps stacking on top of you. This is especially noticeable on Terminid missions, and on certain planets in general. It often feels like fog, spores, haze, and other visibility blockers are almost always there. So the issue is not that low visibility exists. The issue is that it starts feeling constant, and it stops being a special condition. It just becomes part of the background frustration. When low visibility works, it can work really well. Sometimes it gives the game a unique vibe. As a modifier or as part of a planet's identity, it can be great. A blizzard can feel great. A sandstorm can feel great. It is very cinematic when you see the bot's eyes glowing through the snow, or when Terminids suddenly jump out of the storm. And in those moments, low visibility actually adds something. It can make the game feel more atmospheric, more cinematic, and more tense. It can also force a different kind of gameplay and add difficulty to a mission in a way that feels intentional. The main problem with low visibility is that it can come from too many different sources at once. Planet types, bug spores, spore spewers, dust in destroyed cities, and on their own, some of those are completely fine. But when you drop into a desert planet, there is already a yellow haze. Then you run into a spore spewer, and then a sandstorm starts on top of that. It becomes too much. At that point, it can feel like you are playing the game half-blind. And if you play a lot, it stops feeling immersive and starts feeling cheap and tiring for your eyes. It becomes harder to see enemies, harder to see objectives, and harder to make good decisions. It can even ruin the same cinematic vibe that low visibility sometimes creates in smaller doses, because instead of seeing a beautiful skybox or a dramatic battlefield, all you see is yellow haze or green haze, covering everything. And there is another problem too. It also seems to hurt performance. I can feel my frames dropping when there is too much fog on the screen, and my PC is good. Not the absolute best, but more than strong enough. I have a GTX 4080 Super and 64GB of RAM, so if I can already feel it there, then on lower-end PCs and especially on consoles, I can easily imagine it feeling even worse. I think Arrowhead has already taken a few steps in the right direction. For example, the new planets feel much cleaner. They do not have that constant general haze. The only real visibility effect there comes from Terminid spores. But the older planets are still heavily affected. You can even see it in the biome preview images. So if I had to fix this, I would reduce the general haze and make the stronger fog more localized. For example, destroyed cities could have much less overall haze, but certain streets or buildings could have thicker smoke or dust. Desert planets could lose some of the constant yellow haze, and maybe use a heat wave effect instead. And weather effects could also have more levels. A light sandstorm, a strong sandstorm. The real solution is more contrast. Right now, a lot of missions already start in a haze, and then more visibility effects get stacked on top of that. You can reduce some of this problem right now with settings tweaks, but that can depend on your hardware, so I'm not giving exact tips. I just suggest looking that up, but I also think Arrowhead could improve this on a system level. I am not a developer, but I do think they could tune how the general fog and haze work, so low visibility feels more deliberate and less constant. Overall, I do not think low visibility is bad by itself. When it is used in the right amount, it can make the game feel more cinematic, more atmospheric, and sometimes even more interesting. But right now, I think Helldivers 2 uses it too often, too heavily, and in too many different ways at once, and it stops feeling like a special modifier, and starts feeling like a constant layer of frustration. It makes the game harder to see, harder to react to, and just harder to enjoy. The problem is that the game is starting to lean on low visibility too much, and I think if Arrowhead made it more selective, more contrasted, and less constant, the game would look better, feel better, and still keep the atmosphere. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to support the channel extra, you can also join as a member. There are 2 tiers, and if you want your name to appear on the support wall at the end of my videos, join the higher tier. Thanks for watching.